Okay, so in today's video, I wanted to talk about the Apple event, the iPhone 14 and the 14 Pro, and I'm going to talk about the Apple Watch, the new features, and whether or not I actually pre-ordered something or not. So let's just jump right into it. So this is my iPhone 12 Pro, and not that I need an upgrade because I actually think that this is a pretty good smartphone, but because I'm a bit of a camera geek, I felt that the iPhone 14 Pro would be a very interesting camera to test out, not just the smartphone but the camera side of things. I take a lot of photos and a lot of clips, I sell them, and I do all sorts of things with my smartphone, and yeah, I wanted to have a better camera. So yes, it is true, I did pre-order the iPhone 14 Pro, and normally I would say that this is something you really shouldn't do because a smartphone is, after all, quite expensive. I was like, you know what, life is short, I wanted to pre-order it, so I did. So I sort of bought the pig in the bag, if that expression makes any sense. Now, I did pick the iPhone 14 Pro regular size, not the Max model, and I picked the space gray version with 256 gigabytes. I wanted to explain why I did that. So first of all, I picked the regular size because I was kind of leaning towards the Max. I even put it down in the community tab that I was going to get the Max. The reason I didn't do it is because it was so furiously expensive. And I wanted to talk a little bit about pricing when it comes to the smartphones here in Sweden. So normally, yes, it is true that the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro did not get more expensive if you live in the US, but everywhere else in the world, like in Sweden, because of inflation, it actually got quite a bit more expensive than the iPhone 13 Pro. So when I was looking at the price for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I was like, man, for that money, I could get this, I could get that. Like, I was thinking about cameras, I was thinking of new MacBooks, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't get it. So it doesn't matter because I think that the 6.1 inch screen is big enough on the iPhone 12 Pro, and I'm pretty confident that I will appreciate the iPhone 14 Pro regular size anyway. All right, let's dive into the event itself. So starting off with the Apple Watches. Now, I'm the type of person, you know, see, I'm not wearing any Apple Watch. I don't really care too much about Apple Watches, smartwatches and stuff like that. It's just not my cup of tea. I tested it out, but after a couple of days, I just get bored that I have to charge this one more accessory. So I'm not really into Apple Watches. And it's not for me to say that you shouldn't either, because I know a lot of people that just love their Apple Watches, like intensely love. I have this one buddy, he buys the latest Apple smartwatch every single year, and he just loves using his smartwatch. So, you know, to each his own. It's just not for me. So when they showed those new features and the Ultra version, this premium high-end smartwatch, I was like, not really interested. So it was kind of boring to me. I wasn't too interested in the new features, and I wanted to talk about the satellite and the crash thing, which is also coming out to the smartphones. First one being the GPS tracking. You get lost in the woods and you can use satellites to, you know, get help and stuff like that. And then there's the other feature, which is the crash detection thing, which honestly, I don't care. If I'm in a crash, I'm pretty certain that people will find me. It's not like, you know, we take the car out somewhere out in the wilderness and stuff like that. Like in those situations, I suppose it could be useful, but in most situations, if I'm gonna end up in a car crash, it's gonna be in a populated area and somebody is bound to, you know, notice that, you know, oh, a car crashed. So I'm not too interested in that feature. Sorry, just not. Okay, the AirPods. So I'm the type of person that uses regular AirPods at home. I don't need noise canceling, and I think that they feel a lot better in my ear. I just like the way that they sort of hang loosely from my ears, and I just prefer that. My wife actually does use the Apple AirPods Pro. She loves those things. And again, friends and family that use AirPods Pro, they seem to love it. The noise canceling is outstanding on those things. I've tested them out, they're great. So this time you get version number 2 of the AirPods Pro. I'm kind of interested to testing those things out, but in general, I like to use cans. I like to use these Sony headphones because I just think they feel more comfortable when I'm in the bus or the train. And so that's my personal preference. But again, I think that the AirPods Pro 2 look very interesting, especially the fact that they have 2x the performance in noise cancel. So that's always a welcome plus. Plus there is this whole new spectrum of it's sort of adjusting to your face and head and ear and giving you the best acoustic quality. That's kind of cool. I like that Apple sort of ventures out into these areas and tries to improve upon what is already really good. So I think I will be testing out the AirPods Pro, but at the moment it's not my main concern. My main concern is the smartphone change. The iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Max, and the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Sometimes I feel those names are just too long. I wish sometimes they would just keep a bit simpler names, like maybe something like 2022 edition, plus, and regular size. I don't know. But needless to say, this whole event was so perfectly done. Like, you know, it was so well scripted, and, you know, the word perfection comes to mind when I was watching the Apple event. It was really cool. I personally much more prefer the live events, you know, on stage back in the day when Steve Jobs was on stage, and sometimes they could, you know, do failures on stage. Like, for example, the first time they were doing the iPhone 10 and they were showing off how Face ID works, and it just didn't work. It just bombed completely. I love that. Like, I love, you know, there's something about a live event that just feels more realistic and more authentic somehow. So I kind of miss those days. Anyway, so the iPhone 14 and the 14 Pro Max, and they have a lot of features. Mainly it's the camera and that whole dynamic island thing. So my thoughts on the dynamic island is that actually I think it looks really cool, and I'm very impressed with Apple to sort of thinking outside the box or outside the notch. And, you know, if they have to put in a punch hole, why not use it? I think it's very, very impressive how they managed to find a new way of looking at it. You know, they could have just hidden it, made it like a really tiny hole in the screen, but no, they actually found a better use for it. And I congratulate them for it. It's a brilliant move, and I can't wait to test that out. My only concern is that the pill-shaped part is going to be a bit lower than the notch on my iPhone 12. So I'm kind of worried that it might feel a bit intrusive, but I'm pretty certain that after some time I'll get used to it and it won't be a big deal anyway. Now, battery life did get improved, although they didn't talk too much about it except for the iPhone 14 Max. Oh, sorry, the iPhone 14 Plus, which they claim has the longest battery life, but it turns out if you actually look at the specs, the iPhone 14 Pro Max actually has the best battery life. So that's pretty cool, because I already think that the iPhones are making tremendous improvements in the battery area department. So I like it that they keep on improving battery life. I think that this is not just to the bigger batteries. I think they're actually a bit smaller this year, but it's mostly the CPUs. They are much more efficient and stuff like that. And it's also the screen on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, which can now clock down to 1 Hertz, which should, in theory, you know, it should make your battery life last a lot longer. So finally, there is the always on display, and this is something we've been waiting for a really long time. I mean, on Android devices, this has been around for quite some time now, but I'm just glad that Apple finally decided to join the club of always on, and I think that's going to be one of the features that I'm going to enjoy the most. Now, with the cameras, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Yes, there are some improvements, the photonic mode and the action mode, which is sounding cool, but it's really no different than a GoPro or just using stabilization in your software. But, you know, together with the gyro and everything, it could be really cool. Also, they didn't really mention it, but you can't use action mode in 4K. It's going to be limited to 2.8K, which is still good, and it's still a bit of a cropped in image. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like, you have to make some compromises when you implement that type of implementation. That made absolutely no sense. But yeah, I think it's really cool, and I can't wait to test it out. Now, let's talk about the 48 megapixels. So I've been doing a lot of tests with Android devices that have something like 100 megapixels, and doing my extensive research, or, you know, testing out and, you know, like zooming in and seeing if 100 megapixels really makes a difference, then the answer is a bit mixed, because yes, you will get some more detail, but it's not going to be as intense as you think it would be. And I've compared the 108 megapixels on my camera channel with something like a full frame camera, and I would still always pick the full frame camera because of the bigger sensor. It still captures a lot more details and stuff like that. But I still think that higher pixel is still pretty good, because you can crop in a lot, and I am not one to complain about that. It is a bit of a shame that it's only the one lens that gets 48 megapixels and not the other ones, but I suppose that they're saving it for future iPhones. But to be honest, I would have at least preferred that they would have had 48 megapixels on the main camera, but also the ultra wide cam, you know, because it's instantly gonna look a lot worse if you compare side-by-side photos and video, and I just think it's kind of sad. But I can't wait to test it out. And it seems like there's gonna be a low light improvement as well, and that's always welcome on smartphones because of the small sensors on these smartphones. Any type of improvement to low light is just extremely welcome in my book. Now, the big disappointment for me personally, and as I mentioned it on the community tab, is the lack of 8K. I was so certain that 8K was gonna be on the iPhone 14. Like, it just blew my mind that they didn't include it, because I know that it's powerful enough to handle 8K, and I know that that sensor can achieve 8K video. And there are so many Android devices that have 8K. Even this one, this is the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro. It just made me furious, and it felt sort of like a very typical Apple thing to do. You know, this smartphone, it can do something, but we're gonna choose not to do it. Now, it's not a huge deal, and I'm gonna make a video about it, why 8K is actually preferable in pretty much all situations, but it's not that essential. 4K is more than adequate, and most of the time recently I've been, you know, using 1080p mostly because I think it's more efficient to edit and stuff like that. But it is a bit of a shame. But I'm not too worried because I'm absolutely certain that there's going to be some apps that are going to be released in the future, like third-party apps that can enable 8K recording. I'm absolutely certain of it because it has been so for the last iPhones. Even when 4K wasn't present on the iPhone, there were third-party apps that could achieve it by utilizing the sensor in full. So don't worry, you're gonna get 8K, just not through the regular camera app. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on the iPhone 14 and Pro Max. What do you think about the iPhone 14? Are you getting it? Is Apple getting your money this year or not? Now, I will say though, and I'm gonna make a video about this topic even more, but I honestly think that the iPhone 14 Pro that I pre-ordered is probably gonna be the last iPhone that I ever order. Now, I'm someone who loves AirDrop and iMessage and all of the good stuff, and the simplicity of iOS. It just, I feel like you have to pay so much and you get so little in return, and I just, honestly, I just felt icky pre-ordering the latest iPhone, and I don't think I want to do it ever again. So unless they bring out something really interesting in the next iPhone 15, I don't think I'm ever gonna get another iPhone. Time will tell. Okay, that's all I have for today. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. Right, so in today's behind the scenes vlog, I wanted to touch on a subject that's it's something that I actually never wanted to do. I never wanted to make this type of video, and so I kept it in the back of an iPhone 14 because I think that the title would have been really bad. The title for the video, if I had made this episode, this part of the video as a separate video, would be the video I never wanted to make. It's not a good video to make. From my perspective as a content creator, as a YouTuber. And it's a bit of an admission to something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. And I remember last year I was watching this video by Anthony, fellow YouTuber. He has this channel, The Everything Man, or at least it used to be. Now I think he uses his full name, Anthony Lipini. And he was making this video about how he struggles with YouTube. He wants to be a content creator and he considers himself to be a failure. I've sort of started to think in these same terms. There's certain YouTubers that start out in the same time when I start out, and they've just been vastly more successful than I have. YouTube has always been this thing for me when I can talk about pretty much anything I want to, and it's not a good recipe to achieve success on YouTube. And I have this buddy of mine, Jacob Sagatowski. He made this fantastic channel about TwinCat. It's a very complex programming thing. It's probably not for you guys out there, but if you want to see a successful YouTuber, I'll put a link below in the video description. He started out his YouTube channel just last year or something like that, and he's just been killing it. Like, he has a lot of Patreons, a lot of channel members, and he gets so many views, and it's just so darn impressive to see how when you sit down to make good content on YouTube, you can just achieve massive success. And so I told this to him, like, I'm super jealous. Like, he really did what he was supposed to do. He sat down, he started making videos. It's just impressive. The problem for me has always been that sometimes when you sit down and work really hard on a video, and I did this video just a couple of weeks ago, and I just felt it didn't perform as well as it should have, considering how much time and effort I put into it. And I was just hugely disappointed. And the reason it didn't perform very well, I can just only speculate, is that the topic itself, it wasn't very interesting. It was the whole wireless charger video. I put so much time and effort into making that video, and I really thought it was going to be a successful video, but it wasn't. Like, not even 200 views, and I was very disappointed. And every time it happens, it just completely wrecks me. It just breaks me down. You know, you put in so much time and effort into a video, and it just doesn't perform very well on YouTube. You know, because, you know, I can blame it on the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that. But in the end, the truth is quite simple. And this is the topic of today's behind the scenes. I am not a very good YouTuber. Sometimes I sort of talk around this subject like I did it last year. I said pretty much, I don't care if I make crappy videos. I'm just gonna keep on doing videos that I like making and stuff like that, which is true in a sense. It's just that if there's any lack of success on YouTube for me, it is my own doing. Sort of. There is also this aspect with the YouTube algorithm. And again, I don't want to be one of those people that just blames everything on the YouTube algorithm. It's not my fault. I make amazing videos and the YouTube algorithm screws me and stuff like that. It's not what this is about. I mean, the YouTube algorithm, it does do something. Let's not kid ourselves. The YouTube algorithm is essential for the success of a YouTuber. It is also mostly, as I believe, the person making the videos, so me. So if my videos don't perform well, it's because I didn't make good enough videos, which is okay when you're just starting out, honestly. Like, I've given this advice to all YouTubers that start out on YouTube, that if you're gonna make YouTube videos, it's gonna take you a couple of videos before you become good at it. The problem for me is that I've made more than 1,000 videos. I've started so many channels, and I know everything there is to know about the YouTube algorithm. I know everything about clickbait. I've taken courses, and after 10 years, what I have to show for it is dozens of channels with just a couple of thousand of views and subscribers. And it feels frustrating that I put so much time and effort into it and I still can't hack it. I can't do it. Like, I so desperately want to blame this on my creative integrity or something like that, but in the end, it's because I'm just not a good YouTuber. What is the solution for someone like me? I really don't know. I still love making YouTube videos. I still love making channels and new concept ideas, and I'm gonna keep on doing them. Wanted to put it out there that if you were to ask me honestly if I consider myself to be a good YouTuber, then the answer is a flat no. And this is not a sympathy cry. I'm not asking you to, you know, put down in the comments, oh no, Tom, you're such a great YouTuber. Don't give up, hang in there. It's not what this is about. I do a lot of venting on this channel. I like to talk about certain things that I think about, and that's why I wanted to make this video. The simple truth is that as a YouTuber, I suck. The only thing I have going for me is I'm productive as hell. Like, there's probably very few people that can produce as many videos that I can in a very short period of time. I love talking in front of the camera. I love editing them. That's why I'm still doing it after 10 years as a failure. But I just wanted to mention it, sort of vent. It feels actually quite good to accept that you're a terrible YouTuber. Yes. But, you know, truth be told, I am actually quite hopeful of the future. I like to test out new ideas, see what works, what doesn't work. And I'm pretty confident that at some point in my YouTube career, I will find the right way to make videos. But what I'm doing now, it's not working. And not for mainstream content, not for the YouTube algorithm, maybe for some of you. And, you know, I get such nice comments from a lot of you guys, but I still feel underwhelming as a YouTuber, and it's kind of sad. Anyway, just wanted to share my thoughts about my YouTube career. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.